Greetings. This is the instructional video on how to create graphs. In general, I want two graphs. I want graphs of the raw data, the trial data, and a graph of the average data. Now, as a general reminder, the best way to do this and to help you is to listen to a piece of instruction, pause this video, go to your Google Sheet, and then do what I asked you. This is a video so you can stop it at any time and you can rewind it anytime. All right, so the first thing I need you to do is open your Google Sheet that has your water cycle data or the data that I need you to graph. And my hope is you've got some kind of data table with trials and averages, okay? So for this particular assignment, we're doing the water cycle assignment, okay? The first graph I need you to make is the trial data. Now, when we make a graph, what you highlight and sometimes how you highlight is important. And as we talked about, I am not an expert in Google Sheets whatsoever. I know the basics. And sometimes when I highlight things and you highlight the same things on your computer, the same thing doesn't appear. And that's because there is something toggled or there is something coded in your computer that's different than mine. And I don't know how to fix that. Excuse me. So if you run into one of these problems, when I get back, or if I'm there, you're going to need to come and talk to me and we will try to work through it, okay? If it doesn't work for you, then go back and try it a couple of times, and then I can come and help you, okay? All right, so let's make our first graph, excuse me, of the trial data. So I'm going to click the word condition, and I'm going to drag all the way over to all of my trials. So I have 3 trials. That's all I'm going to highlight. If you have 9 trials, you're going to be highlighting way out here. That's okay. Okay. So I'm going to click condition, and I'm going to highlight just those boxes. I do not want to highlight this. I do not want to highlight everything. Again, what you highlight is important. So click on the word condition and highlight down to the end of your trial. All right, you're going to find your chart button. It's right here. It doesn't say graph, it says chart. And it's right next to the funnel. You're going to click that, and the computer's going to generate what it thinks you want. And we have to check it. All right, so, I'm expecting 6 bars because I have 6 numbers, 2 zeros, 2 halves, a 1 and a 2. So I'm going, oh, is this right? I have to go back to my data. Well, I don't have any bars on trial 1 because it's 0. So there would be 2 bars here, 2 bars here that are the same, a 1 and a 2. All right, so it looks like the data came in correctly. That's the most important part. I can fix the words, okay? So I'm going to move this graph out of the way a little bit. Once it has these 3 dots around it, you can move it. So if I click off, there's no dots. I can't move it. If I click in once, I have dots, and now I can click and drag it, okay? All right, I'm going to click out so nothing's highlighted. The next thing I want to do, is I want to make the average graph. And here's where some hiccups happen sometimes. So I want to highlight the average plant height CM. For me, I don't know what your average, it could say average water precipitated. It could say average amount of condensation, average amount of evaporation, average amount of precipitation. So I'm going to highlight the words and the 2 numbers below it. Okay? And then I'm going to go back up and hit the chart again. Now I'm hoping that a graph comes up with 2 bars. They did. Now, just like we did this in class, it doesn't make sense to me that these 2 bars are the same color, but I can address that later if I need to. Color really doesn't matter because in black and white, if I print this, we won't be able to see the color, okay? All right, so it has the dots around it. I'm going to kind of drag it away a little bit, and I'm going to get back to our first graph, okay? So I'm going to click it, and I'm going to move it over so I can see it. All right, I'm going to click off of it. Okay. Oops, I got to move this one. Oops. I don't want that. And how do you get rid of that? Oh, look. Oh, is it there? We're going to click it off. Yes? No? There we go. All right. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to click this one away. Okay. All right. So I want the original graph, the one that has all the data. There are three things we need to look at. The title, the x-axis or horizontal axis, and the vertical axis. Okay. When we double click in the graph, it's going to bring the dialog box up. Okay. And it's called the chart editor. We can use this, or if we happen to have a title already printed there, I can double click in that. And if it doesn't highlight, I can double click again. So I'll show you. So I happen to have a title. I'm going to double click in it. Didn't highlight. I'm going to double click again. Okay, so in my experiment, I am testing the effect of fertilizers on plant height. What is your experiment? Are you testing amounts of light on plant height? Are you testing amounts of light on evaporation? Are you testing water temperature on amount of precipitation? Okay? This shouldn't be a question. This shouldn't be a sentence, but it should be a phrase. And it should make sense to whoever's reading it. So if I hand this to a teacher in 8th grade, they should understand the data they're looking at. Okay? Let's look down at the x-axis. Okay? I have two things on the x-axis. I have trial 1, 2. Oh, look, I have 2 trial 3s. I made a mistake. So if I make a mistake, I go back up to the data table where I typed it. I'm going to click in this box, and I'm going to change the 3 to a 2, and I'm going to click out of it, and look, it automatically made that fix in my data, in my graph. I didn't have to go back and recreate the graph. So if I make a mistake, I'm going to go to my data table and fix it, and then it'll automatically fix it in the graph. Now let's say your graph didn't have a title. If it doesn't have a title, I'm going to double click in my graph so my chart editor comes up. I'm going to make sure I'm in Customize. I'm going to go down 2 arrows where it says Chart and Axis Titles and click. I'm going to go to the very first drop down and I'm going to click Chart Title, and then I'm going to go to the box below and I'm going to type what I want my title to be. Okay? All right, let's look at the horizontal or x-axis. I have trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, and the word condition. I don't need both. So I need to think about and use my brain and figure out what makes more sense. So I have a blue bar and a red bar. They both happened in trial 1, trial 3. These both happened in trial 2. Nothing happened in trial 1. So the word condition doesn't make sense. So I'm going to double click on it. Okay, it didn't highlight. So I could go over here in the dialog box and delete it. Or I could double click on the word condition until it highlights, and I could hit backspace and delete it. When I click out of my graph will go down a little bit. And that's what I want it to look like. It has a key, so I know water and Miracle-Gro, and that's fine. The last thing I need to look at is my vertical axis. I don't have one here, so I have to put it in. So to do that, I have to get that text editor back. And to do that, I'm going to double click in the graph. My chart editor comes up. I want to go to Customize. I want to go down to the second arrow, click. That first drop-down box, mine says horizontal because that's the last thing I used. I'm going to click that arrow I want to click on vertical. And then I'm going to go to the box below it that says text, and I have to figure out what to type. So these bars that are 0.5, 0.5 in trial 2 and 1 and 2 in trial 3, is that how many jumping jacks I did? Is that how many times I coughed in class? No, that's the plant height. So I'm going to type plant, capital P, space, height, capital Height. I need to put the units. So a space bar, parentheses, height is measured in centimeters, small c, small m, parentheses. If you're measuring volume like precipitation or evaporation, your units are milliliters, small m, big L. If you measured using a triple beam balance, that's mass, that's small g. So that is what would be in parentheses. You have to have units. Okay, so I'm going to click out. This looks pretty good. Nice. All right, so I'm going to move this over. I'm going to click it so there's dots scooted to the side. Click out. I'm going to find my average graph. There it is. I'm going to click on it so there's dots, and I'm going to move it so it's right next to the other one. So, just like the first graph, there's 3 things we need to look at. We need to look at the title, the x-axis, and the y-axis. Now, if we spend a lot of time on our first graph, the second graph is relatively easy. Mine has no text on it whatsoever, so it's going to be a little work. So if I double-click in the graph, the text editor will come up. All right, I want to make sure I go to Customize. Go down 2 arrows where it says Titles. Click on it. The very first drop down, I'm going to go to Chart Title. So if I click on it, I'm going to scroll to Chart Title. The next box below it is where I can type. This is the average graph, so I'm going to type the word average, capital AVERAGE, and then I'm going to add the rest of the words from the other graph, and I can just copy them. Average effect of fertilizers on plant height. I don't know what your original title was. Hopefully it's like average effect of water temperature on amount of precipitation. Average effect of type of light on evaporation. Okay? Notice it's not a question, it's not a sentence, but it is a phrase that makes sense and describes what the graph is. All right, I am still in this text editor. So all I have to do is go back to the drop-down menu that says Chart Title. They're green words for me. Click, and I'm going to put horizontal axis. All right, so these are the words we're going to put under the first bar and the second bar. And if you remember, I tested water in Miracle-Gro. So that's what's going to go in here. I'm going to type the word water capitalized. I'm going to hit the space bar a whole bunch. And then I'm going to type Miracle-Gro, capitalized, both words. And I'm going to play with my space bar until the word water is in the center of the bar. And Miracle-Gro is in the center of the bar. Okay? The last thing I need to put on there is the y-axis or the vertical. So where it says horizontal axis title, that's green with the arrow, I'm going to click that arrow and I'm going to go to vertical axis title. And I'm going to go in the box below it because it's empty. And this time I'm going to type average. And I'm going to put the same title, vertical title or vertical label I did on the other graph. So it says plant height, centimeters. All right. So I've got a regular graph and an average graph, and the titles are the same except for the average graph has the word average. The vertical axis or the y-axis, I got plant height on the regular graph, on the trial graph, but on the average graph it says average. And each bar is labeled and it's clearly labeled. So now I've got all of this done. So the next step is to show you how to copy and paste it all into a Google slide.